Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Texas Rangers franchise on the MSM Sports Network. I apologize the delay in these videos, but I was in the process of moving. I have established my new base elsewhere, and I'm ready to go here with the 2022 first-year player draft. We'll get right into it as the Texas Rangers are drafting number 18 overall, and this was an interesting draft for us because our scouts kind of spread out the efforts. We didn't really fully scout a ton of individuals. It was difficult to find exactly where our fit would be, and as you saw by my scrolling, we also don't have a second-round pick, a pick that we lost to the Colorado Rockies, who, of course, offered Trevor Story a qualifying offer. Well, the guys that I was looking to pull the trigger on in the last episode, guys like Thomas Ramos and Alexis Valenzuela, were gone. So I had to kind of come up with an impromptu pick. Of course, I didn't necessarily think that any of those guys would get to pick 18, but they went very, very early, and so I was looking at a couple of different players, including Matthew Miller, a high schooler from the state of Minnesota, but I continued to scroll down, and I was looking for a guy in this first round who could hopefully contribute immediately, and Sammy Esquivel caught my eye. He's a very interesting prospect. Obviously a slider primary pitch. He's got some fastballs and also a sweeping curve and a splitter, and his walks per 9 is not going to be an issue. I also looked at a guy like Val Hughes, who's a hard-throwing left-hander from the state of Arkansas, went to the University of Arkansas, and also Julio Pedroza, another lefty from the Dominican Republic. But I thought Sammy Esquivel's skill set was so unique. He may not be the most talented guy, but I wanted him on my team, and I wanted to see ultimately how he would develop here. As I mentioned, he's got a slider for a primary pitch, so I don't necessarily know that he's going to be a starting pitcher, but he could be a lot of fun out of the bullpen. We get to the third round now, and Matthew Miller is still on the board. I cannot believe this. He had a first-round projection, and yet no one's taken him through the first 2 rounds. This was a very, very easy pick for me. I was locked in with Matthew Miller, and even though he is just a high schooler with a long-term projection rate, I knew that Miller was going to be the pick. And so with Matthew, we went to the 4th round. We're going to take an international catcher, Jason Thorne, also a high schooler from Canada. And we need catcher depth. I was hoping to find a more talented one, but the catching depth in this draft class was also very thin. To the 5th round we go. We select Leon Colligan, a right-handed pitcher. I'm really excited about him. We'll get to him and his ratings in just a second. And with our final pick, I considered a couple different players. Bobby Davidson, a hard-throwing righty from the state of New York, also a youngster, but we hadn't taken an outfielder, and so I just decided, okay, let's go ahead and take a flyer on a college outfielder, and we selected Garrett Amaya with the final pick in our draft. We also destroyed the Colorado Rockies, 16-0 on draft day, and this was an important offensive outburst for us. Obviously, in last episode, you saw how we hit the skids in the worst possible way. We lost 12 straight, and now with this win, we sweep the Colorado Rockies in a 2-game series. You see Adolis Garcia, Nick Solak, and Nate Lowe especially having big days, as Lowe had 7 RBIs. And now we can get to the signing stage. As you look at the overalls, not the highest for Sammy Esquivel, but Matthew Miller and Leon Colligan are both really, really great picks considering we got them in the 3rd and 5th rounds. Esquivel is a higher overall, if you will, 63, but just 77 potential. For a bullpen arm, which I think he projects to be long-term, I'm not very mad at that. His walks per 9 is extremely high for a rookie, and he's going to keep the ball in the ballpark as well. Sammy's a Pennsylvania native who went to Vanderbilt and was the Saturday starter for the Doors during his senior season. He went 8-4 with a 2.78 ERA in a season that saw the Commodores return to the College World Series after being upset by Hank Lyons and the Gamecocks last season, and obviously a slider specialist that projects to be more of a solid reliever than a pure starter. For Matthew Miller, a long way to go as a player in totality, but good contact ratings, and I think eventually his fielding can be fine. He's got decent enough speed and can actually provide a threat on the base paths as well. Miller was the top high school player in the state of Minnesota when he led Stillwater High School to a state semifinal berth during his senior season, and he was actually committed to play baseball for Ohio State. Miller, of course, a contact hitter who hopes to develop the power as he ages, but overall, I see the tools there to become a nice ball player. It's just 3 or 4 seasons away at a minimum. Jason Thorne is a Toronto-born backstop. He grew up playing hockey until he was 12 when he decided to play baseball. Not much of a hitter, but he's an excellent defender with a plus arm for a 19-year-old. He was actually committed to play at UConn. And now Leon Colligan, I really love what we get him. A gigantic human being for just 19 years old at 6'5". Colligan had D1 offers to play basketball for Boston College and UNC Wilmington, but decided that baseball was his future. Colligan won the state championship to conclude his senior season, turning in a Madison Bumgarner-like performance when he started the state semifinals and then pitched 4 innings of relief in the championship game. Now, Leon induces a lot of weak contact, and he can make you miss with his curve and his sinker. He's likely going to drop the two-seamer in favor of changeup, considering that's basically the same pitch as a sinker, but I like the future that projects with Colligan on the mound. Of course, the final player is Garrett Amaya, a 2-year starter at Washington State for the Cougars. He mashes right-handed pitching, but is very feast or famine. If he can cut down on the Ks, his fielding is actually decent enough to maybe project as a AAA center fielder in time, but there's no real major league future right now. You just never know what you're going to get down the line. Here's a look at some of the other prospects that were taken. Thomas Ramos went to the A's, and Alex Valenzuela was a guy that I wanted to fall to us. He went to the Angels. Actually, was a disappointing prospect. Sean Pagan goes to the Boston Red Sox, and then Eric Karros is maybe the most MLB-ready prospect I've ever seen. 21 years old, 75 overall. He's without a doubt a future all-star for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But it is time to get into the baseball game today. The Texas Rangers hosting the Los Angeles Dodgers, 38-13. The Dodgers have the best record in the big leagues, and when you get a look at this lineup, you'll see why. They're headlined by guys like Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger. Give you a look at the starting 9, and that Dodgers lineup is just frightening. You've got guys like Bellinger, Muncy, Will Smith there in the middle, and Chris Taylor batting 7th. They're opposed by the rookie lefty Mackenzie Gore, who's 3-3 right now, 4.5 ERA, and arguably his toughest test to date is he takes on the Dodgers, and it would not start out the way he wanted. Mookie Betts going deep out to right field for a leadoff double, and the Rangers lucky that did not go for more with the shift that they had in place. One batter later, it's Justin Turner working a walk, and just like that, runners on first and second for the Dodgers with nobody out as Gore trying to work out of a first-inning jam. He's not going to be able to, though, as the third batter of the inning, Corey Seager, goes over David Dahl's head in left field, and it gets the first run across the board for the Dodgers. 3 hitters, 3 hits, and 1 run as Seager has his 12th RBI double of the season. Cody Bellinger was the next batter, and the Rangers would get the first out as Nick Solak makes a nice play up the middle, but it does result in a second run. Max Muncy then becomes the first strikeout victim of the day for Mackenzie Gore, and that slider would be kind of his makeup pitch throughout the day. As you see Will Smith now swinging over a changeup. It's 0-2 the count on the Dodger backstop as Gore looking for the strikeout, and he pumps a fastball in on the hands. Smith knows there was no reason to chase that, and the inning ends. Texas taking on the Dallas native Clayton Kershaw on the mound, 6-1 with an ERA just above 2, and he was dialed in today. 0-2 count here on Adolis Garcia, and Garcia just didn't even see that fastball out of the hand. Even though Kershaw is an older pitcher now, he is so good with both his fastball and his breaking ball. The movement and deception that he exhibits truly is just very, very hard to pick up even on a video game. As you see, he just takes care of the Rangers in order rather easily to end the first, and the Dodgers would take a 2-0 lead into the second. In that inning, Chris Taylor would lead off against Mackenzie Gore, and he'd go down via the strikeout as Gore gets his third of the afternoon. He's got 3, let's make it 4, this time via the curveball, as that one dipped right below the zone, and Donovan Casey had no shot of barreling that up. To the bottom of the second we go. Texas gets their first base runner as Tyler Naquin earns a 3-1 walk. First blemish on Kershaw's record for the day, but an 0-2 count to Nate Lowe, and he's not going to be able to roll the double play here as this ball just hit too softly, but he does get the easy out at first. Texas has a base runner in scoring position for the first time today. 1-2 count now. Trevor Story trying to sit on the curveball, and he still misses. It was almost like Story was expecting it, and he was not able to get the bat on it, so 2 outs now. The Rangers need a base hit. Jose Trevino to the plate and battling with Kershaw here as he fouls off a couple of curveballs, once down the first base line, then down the third base line, but the 5th pitch would eventually be the charm. 5 straight curveballs from Kershaw, and he gets his man in Trevino. To the third inning now, 0-2 count, and Justin Turner gone swinging for the second out of the inning as Turner becomes the 5th victim of the strikeout from Mackenzie Gore, and you get a look at the unorthodox motion there from Mackenzie, but he's got some good deception and a very good slider to go with the hard fastball. So with 2 outs, it was Corey Seager to the plate, and he strikes out swinging on the slider as well. 6 strikeouts through 3 innings for the rookie, but Clayton Kershaw wouldn't back down either as he swings and misses Sherton Apostle here. 4th strikeout through 2 2/3, and Adolis Garcia to the plate with 2 outs. He's frozen on the inside fastball as Garcia has struck out both times. Texas doesn't have a hit through 3 innings. Top of the 4th we go, 2 outs, and Will Smith with a seeing eye single softly through the right side, just far enough past the reach of Nate Lowe to where the Dodgers get a 2-out base runner. Then the next pitch is a wild pitch in the dirt. Jose Trevino's attempt to gun out Smith at second is unsuccessful, and it would leave a man in scoring position for Chris Taylor. Going the opposite way, he finds the right center field gap, and Los Angeles will make it a 3-0 ball game as Chris Taylor, who came in just hitting .231 on the season and in a cold spell, starting to heat up the bat here this afternoon against the Texas Rangers. As you see, that pitch just right down middle. And Donovan Casey, the next batter. The Rangers would get out of the inning here, but the damage done. 3 runs for the Dodgers through 4 offensive innings. Texas still looking for their first base hit of the afternoon, and they'll get it right here as Nick Solak tattoos this ball off the glove of Corey Seager. A fantastic diving effort, but it did come up just short. Kershaw would recover, though. He gets Willie Calhoun on a filthy curveball in the dirt. Willie didn't even have a chance at making contact there. Taking out 2 outs, and Nate Lowe going down via the strikeout as well. Another curveball casualty for Texas, and the Rangers squander another opportunity. Top of the 5th now will take you, and this ball bounced up the middle, and this is into center field, a base hit. Again, Solak giving it a heck of an effort, but just not able to reach there. Still nobody out, and a runner on first, and now it's first and second with nobody out as Mookie Betts draws a walk. Dangerous Justin Turner now digging in, but he'll ground this one softly to Solak. 4-6-3, and just in time to get the red-bearded third baseman. 2 outs now with a runner on third base for Corey Seager. 1-2 on the day. He'll be 1 for 3 as he swings and misses at this slider. Second time Seager has gone down via the strikeout, and Gore works his way out of the 5th. In the bottom of the inning, Clayton Kershaw back up on the mound, and he'll give up this base hit to Trevor Story. Texas slowly trying to chip into the offensive column. It's just their second base hit of the day. Kershaw now with a full count against Jose Trevino. Still nobody out. Story on the move, but the pitch misses up and away, and the Rangers have their best offensive chance of the day. It's first and second with nobody out. David Dahl would step in, and he would try to lay down a bunt, but a hard charging play by Justin Turner, able to get the slow-footed Jose Trevino at second, and it would put runners at first and third with 1 out. Sherton Apostle now deep out to center field. This should be plenty deep enough. Bellinger makes the catch and uncorks a rocket to the plate. The throw, though, just not in time Trevor Story barely beats it out, as that was a Herculean effort from Bellinger. And speaking of Cody, he's at the plate here in the top of the 6th. Rangers have whittled the deficit down to 2, but this one plunked into right center field, and Belly's going for 2. The throw from Adolis off target, and the Dodgers have a leadoff double to start the 6th inning. As you see, Cody Bellinger now moves into the team lead with 15 on the season. Will Smith would be the next batter, and he would ground out to shortstop, but it moves Belly over to third base. And so now just a simple single scores the 4th run of the game, and Chris Taylor's going to oblige. Right back up the middle. That would have scored Bellinger from second base, and Chris Taylor, his second base hit of the evening, the second RBI of the evening as well, and the Dodgers increase their lead to 4-1. Donovan Casey now up and looks at strike 3 right down the middle. That was a 2-2 fastball that could have been grooved anywhere in the ballpark, but Chris Taylor did the damage, and it's 4-1. Dodgers going to the bottom of the 6th as Kershaw continues to unveil that breaking ball, and guys like Nick Solak just had no chance of even touching that. As you get a look at ERA leaders, and Kershaw among the nation's elite and only improving, as he's only given up 1 run so far today. Willie Calhoun tried to go the opposite field, and off the bat, I thought this had a chance to get out of the ballpark, let alone be a base hit, but it's caught by Donovan Casey, and the breaks just not there for Texas. Tyler Naquin, though, taking matters into his own hand. He'll pound this one off that high fence in right center field. A 2-out double for Texas, and it gave the Rangers an opportunity to get a base runner across. As you get a look at that one, just a hanging breaking ball right down the middle. But Nate Lowe would fly out, and Texas once again does not come through in the clutch. Clayton Kershaw, 6 sterling innings, and that would be the end of Mackenzie Gore's days. Gregory Santos came on. He had just been called up a couple of days prior and had not been playing well, and that's going to continue here today. He had pitched so well at the AAA level, but the Major League batters really squaring Santos up. Leadoff, or a 1-out double, I should say, for Mookie Betts there. Justin Turner, the next batter, he'll ground this one down to third base. So it does get 2 outs in the inning, and Santos just basically 1 pitch away from escaping, but Corey Seager's not going to let the inning come to an end. This one sliced hard into the left center field gap. It's 5-1 now. Dodgers, as Seager has his second double of the day, both of them to the opposite field, his 13th double of the season. And it would bring up Cody Bellinger, a 1-0 count, and he gets a hanger, a fastball right down the middle. And this is a no-doubter over the Ranger bullpen into the seats, and the Dodgers jump all over the Rangers. They've broken it open, 7-1 LA, as Gregory Santos has come in and opened the door. He would be removed as Taylor Hearn comes on now. Hearn having a phenomenal season, really validating why we re-signed him, but he's not able to make the play here. As this one bounced out in front of the plate, Trevino was a little slow getting out, and as a result, Hearn had to try and field it. 2 outs, though, in an 0-2 count. He will freeze Will Smith. So the damage done by the Dodgers, but Hearn does come out and put out the fire. Trevor Story up in the bottom of the 7th inning, leading off against Kershaw, and on the 99th pitch of his outing, Kershaw gets his 9th strikeout. 1-2 count now to Trevino, and make it an even 10. A changeup that just fell off the table, and the Ranger backstop goes down swinging. 2 down now in the bottom of the 7th. The last hope is David Dahl, and he'll smoke this one high and deep towards right field. A laser home run for David Dahl. His 3rd of the season, and Texas at least has a little bit of a spark here late in the game, as Dahl at least represents in the offensive category. That would be all that the Rangers did through 7. So we'll take you to the top of the 8th. Taylor Hearn back on the mound, and he gets a laser beam of an out to left field as David Dahl makes a great play. You get a look at the 2 final lines for your starting pitchers. Clayton Kershaw in line to get the win. 7 innings pitched. He gave up just 2 runs. That last one, of course, coming to David Dahl. But Hearn wasn't done giving up runs either, and the Dodgers extend their lead to 8-2. Donovan Casey goes the opposite way. Casey on a hot streak coming in. He'd been hitting .248, and he fillets a hanging slider the opposite way to make it a 6-run deficit. Mookie Betts up with an 0-2 count, and he'll fly out to shallow center field as Nick Solak puts the final touches on that. And it sends us to the bottom of the 8th as Brusar Graterol comes in and immediately gives up a nuke from Willie Calhoun. With 2 outs and a 1-1 count, the Rangers DH goes big fly out to dead center field. 15th home run of the season for Calhoun, who is right now in line to get an all-star spot as the starting left fielder for the American League. We might even see him in the home run derby if he continues to do things like that. Still nobody out in the inning and an 0-1 count for Nate Lowe, and he's going the opposite way now here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Rangers get an early base runner as they try and claw back, but Trevor Story would come up and on a 1-1 count, ground this one right to Seager. A 6-4-3 double play, and just like that, Texas was down to their final out. A 3-2 count here from Brusar Graterol, and that slider caught some of the strike zone but was not called strike 3. A very, very close pitch. I'm surprised the ball game didn't end. It would bring up David Dahl with the 1-2 count, and this slider runs in and hits him. Dahl earns a free pass to first base and a 2-strike count, and Sherten Apostle would come up 0 for 2 so far today, but one of the 3 RBIs, and he's going to collect 3 more. Sherten Apostle with a bomb out to left field. This one is way back and gone, and Texas suddenly just within 2. His 2nd home run of the season as that one exited the ballpark at 99.2 miles an hour, and you see the frustration on Graterol's face. He realizes this game is not quite done. His Apostle quickly making an impact at the big league level, validating our move to call him up from AAA and send Ronald Guzman down as you get a look at this skyscraper of a home run that Sherten hit. Texas within 2, but the next batter would be Adolis Garcia, and then a 1-0 sinker. He's late, pops up into right field, and this one an easy catch for Mookie Betts, and the ball game is over. Dave Roberts and the Dodgers earn the win, their 39th of the season. The Rangers fall to 27-23 as Clayton Kershaw picks up his 7th win on the season. Cody Bellinger, your player of the game with his home run, and Mackenzie Gore obviously suffers the loss. That was an unfortunate way to lose. We really weren't ever in that game until the very end, and it's just disappointing to be out of it so early, but at the same time, that is the best team in the big leagues. As you get a look at the box score, we struck out 13 times against Dodger pitching. Our pitchers got 9 strikeouts, but still, hard to win a baseball game when you're getting out hit 12-7 and striking out 13 times. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate your patience as I've gotten settled here in my new hometown. I'm glad to be here and glad to be producing video content once again. Next episode, I'll have 2 ball games in that for you, and we will march towards the trade deadline as the Rangers figure out just how big of buyers will be come July 31st. We'll also take a look at some of the All-Star voting as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, so long, everybody.